Well, the Dogecoin craze continues. Even the Wall Street Journal is now taking notice. The cryptocurrency was set up as a joke, of course, and serves no purpose. It's on a 12,000% rally, though, this year. Now the search is on for cheaper alternatives that could be the next to take off. It's time to call a money huddle to figure out what's going on here. Let's welcome in now financial analyst and president of Zuma Global, Heather Zumarraga. She's also the author of The Man's Guide to Corporate Culture. Seth Denson's back with us as well. His book is called The Cure, a blueprint for solving America's healthcare crisis. And America's accountant, Dan Geltrude, is here. He's a CPA and founder of Geltrude and Company. We got the whole gang together. Great to see everybody.
Yay.
Good to be here.
All right, so last time we had this conversation, Dan, Seth and Heather and I were asking the question, what is Dogecoin? And why are we talking about it? Why is it advertised on every social media platform I'm on? 1,200% is a pretty good run, and you hear a lot of warnings about this. I even saw on Wall Street Bets, the Reddit site, that someone had posted a letter that they received from Fidelity saying, hey, we're trying to figure out what's going on here. We don't give investment advice, but this seems a little strange. So, Dan, if I'm going to talk to my financial professionals, my team, what do I ask them? Do I even need to worry about this?
I would say don't ask them any questions because you should probably stay away from it, John. That's my advice here. I get that people are making a lot of money on cryptocurrency and something like Dogecoin, but let's remember, this started in 2013 as a joke. It was a parody. Now, you look at it and say they have a $90 billion valuation, and to put that in perspective, that's bigger than General Motors and Ford, but it's not based on anything. So I just think that this particular cryptocurrency is something to steer clear of. It's a shiny object. Don't get caught up in the fear of missing out.
Okay, yeah, it's FOMO, the fear of missing out. We all are a little worried about that. But Heather, is it okay to play and have a little fun with Dogecoin?
No, it's not for me. True story, my mother-in-law texted this morning if she could somehow lend some money so that I could invest in crypto for her, which I don't even know how to mine for it. I understand there's Coinbase, so there's a way to do that, but I'm not a computer software genius. And that tells me, it reminds me of 2001 when the cab drivers were asking about buying stocks and getting into the market on Microsoft and other various technology names in the NASDAQ that later blew up. So when your mother-in-law is asking about it, it may be time to run for the exit.
Now, Seth, these start out as, what traditionally might be called penny stocks, right? And, this isn't necessarily a new thing where you could have something that just goes crazy. Is it kind of like that, or is there something different here? Because, advocates for cryptocurrency say, hey, it's all on the blockchain. This is very important technology. And this is the way the global economy is moving, to cryptocurrencies and things like that.
I mean, listen, here's the reality. There are 4,000 cryptocurrencies out there right now, and 1,000 have already failed because everybody went, what is this, right? I mean, at one point, let's just be very clear, Enron was up over 300% and made a lot of people a lot of money. You might be holding this now and making some money at it, but one of these days, the music's going to stop. And when it does, you don't want to be holding on to it. If there's 4,000 of these things out there and nobody can explain it to me exactly how this works, maybe I'm going a different, I'm saving those pennies.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, though, it becomes so big, everybody could get involved. There is potential here. There's talk of regulating it. What do you see happening, Dan?
Well, I think we're going down that path, John, because if you look at Bitcoin, which is the number one cryptocurrency, I mean, they're at a market value of just over $1 trillion. So this is real. I don't know about Dogecoin, but cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and Bitcoin, they're real. And ultimately, I think there is going to be more oversight here, especially because there's taxes to be collected as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are used. It actually creates a taxable event. The government's going to want their money.
Yeah, we have about that from the Biden administration. They are definitely thirsty for the taxes that they could be getting. Heather, go ahead.
One quick point Dan made is that, yes, Dogecoin is not taken seriously, but there is something behind the success of Bitcoin, for example, and that's because of inflation. Everyone is worried about inflation. Bitcoin is actually capped unlike the dollar, you can print as much as you want. Bitcoin is going to be limited. Dogecoin, though, is not an effective or smart play as an inflation bet because there is no limit to how many they can print. And therefore, that doesn't make any sense. But Bitcoin as an inflation hedge might make sense for some investors.
Right, because in that case, Heather, it would effectively be like a commodity, a limited supply, which, you know, would cap the price or affect the price. And Seth, I also want to talk about what's happening with these vaccines. Yesterday, we saw something happen. Basically, all of the vaccine makers, Pfizer, Moderna, their stock prices tanked because the Biden administration and others said they shouldn't have patent action here. But doesn't this cut kind of against the principles of the free market and capitalism? I mean, yes, these companies are making a lot of money right now off the vaccine, and I don't know if I'm okay with that or not, but at the same time, what they've done is pretty miraculous. Making a vaccine in this amount of time, and that's the motivation for getting this done. That's what capitalism is all, or supposed to be all about, right?
Yeah, John. Listen, there's a reason that 70% of all healthcare innovation comes out of the United States, and that's because of our capitalistic structure. When the call went out to these pharmaceutical companies who make billions of dollars on other drugs and said, stop what you're doing and invest and try, the world needs you, they did. They answered the call. Pfizer alone invested over $1 billion to get the drug to market inside of a year. And so now we're going to come back behind the scenes and say, now we're going to take all of your intellectual property and give it out to everybody else. Two things for that. One, don't expect them to answer the call the next time they come around. And two, maybe let's stop acting so much like China and taking intellectual property and giving it out to other people.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Dan?
Oh, I totally agree. You talk about disincentivizing innovation. Here it is. Develop something really unique that the world needs. And then once you do that, well, we'll just take that value away from you and not give you anything in return, as Seth said. That's what they do in China. There's no respect for the law and for intellectual property. So if Joe Biden's administration wants Pfizer and the other companies to release their intellectual property, buy it from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only fair way here. And, you know, Heather, on one hand, you can say, look, these companies should not be getting a rent check basically from the government every year for having a booster shot for the next round of COVID vaccines, because that's kind of the concern here. But at the same time, if they undercut the motivation here, the profit motive for these companies, they're not going to do this kind of innovation again, are they?
No, absolutely not. And that's what Seth was saying, is the next time you ask for help during Operation Warp Speed or some, God forbid, another global pandemic, these private companies, and I believe Pfizer was one of the only few that rejected help from the government in terms of R&D and still made it happen in record timing. I mean, I think this is the administration marching to the tune of the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization. That's China and Russia run those companies. They're funding those organizations. Vaccines are very expensive to make. They usually take billions invested in research and development, and they're closely guarded secrets. To give those away, the point is, on the surface, it's a humanitarian effort, and I get that. But this is not the best way to help others. Americans want to help the less fortunate and give to those that need help. In India, 4,000 people dying a day still of COVID. But to give away our intellectual property is not the right way to go about it.
No, Heather, I'm glad you brought up India, because that's where a lot of our pharmaceuticals are actually manufactured. As Seth indicated, the innovation happens here. And of course, China would love to have the patent and the intellectual property that goes into making these vaccines, because China's vaccine is not performing very well around the world at all. Great convo, guys. Heather, Dan, Seth. We'll see y'all next weekend for another Money Huddle.
Thanks, John.
That's good.